Okay, so guys, from here we can see one temple. We have several buildings around us, but only one temple. Can you tell me which the temple is?
Well, there's one up here.
That one? No.
This one right here?
No.
No?
Like this one,
That one up there?
That one right here.
Okay.
An easy way to recognize a temple is that the temples are always the tallest buildings because they are the connection to the upper world, so they are very close to the upper world. And then, if you look at the rest of the buildings, you will see that all of the buildings are on top of a platform. But this one right here, for example, the building itself is almost the same size as the platform, the same with this one right here, that one over there, but not this one. The temples, or the building itself, or the temple will be way smaller than the platform it is on top. Okay, so that's one way to recognize it. Right here we have 5 different temples, 4 of which are aligned with the sun. If you come here in December 21st during the winter solstice and you stand right in front of the temple, you will see the sun rising perfectly on the center of this temple. They are aligned with the sun. Right here, some people can say that it's a coincidence because we have the ocean behind us and the Mayans just wanted to make them so you could have the ocean behind the temple. But for example, if you go to Chichen Itza, that is one of the most common Mayan cities in the whole world, if you stand in front of the temple, the same thing will happen. December 21st, you're gonna see the sun rising perfectly on the center of the temple. They do not have any ocean to orientate the building towards it. Okay? But this temple right here is not aligned with the sun. This one is aligned with the wind, or along the coast. It is believed that the window, or the small opening that it has in the back wall, was meant to be used as an alarm. So the stronger the wind was flowing through the opening, the louder the sound was. So they could measure or know how strong the hurricane was going to be. Okay? Some archaeologists say that. There is no strong evidence of that, but I mean, it does create a sound. It's not like we're gonna hear it from here. If you're in the temple, you can hear that sound. And that's the temple of the god of the wind. It's also the only building in Tulum that has a circular platform, so the wind can travel freely. Okay? Long time after the Mayans, the ancient Mayans left this place was used by rebels as a camp. This was a rebel camp. And some people were tricked into joining the cause to fight for the Mayans. Because a lot of Mayan people, or most of the Mayan people, were already Catholics. They didn't follow the Mayan gods that they had in the ancient civilization. So some people tricked these people into following them, making them believe that God, the Catholic God, wanted them to join this war. And in this place, they tricked a lot of people through that small opening. So people would go up to the temple from the front. They would see that there was no one inside. Then they would walk behind the temple, and then they would hear a god speaking to them, that small opening. Obviously, we know that someone was hiding right now. But these people were tricked into believing. And the people here were praising what they called the talking cross. Have any of you heard what the talking cross is?
No.
Or the speaking cross?
No.
It was a blue cross, was a Catholic cross that some people used, the same one, they used to trick these people into joining their cross. But this may sound like a joke, but it's not. They use a ventriloquist to speak to the people and make them believe that the cross was speaking to them. So this guy, Jacinto, took some people to the jungle and they found a cross right there, and the cross started speaking to them. But Manuel, he was the ventriloquist, and people just fell for that.
Wow.
Sounds like a joke? It's not.
No, no.
Who gets sacrificed in this?
Virgins.
Excuse me?
Virgins.
Oh, sorry.
Virgins?
No. I mean, yeah, but they didn't choose virgins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Usually they were virgins.
The lower class people?
No.
Was it people that
Foreign.
are going to important?
Important people. Being sacrificed was an honor and a privilege. Remember, when you die, you go to Xibalbá and then you start a long journey. The only way to not do that journey and go straight to the upper world was to die at childbirth, die fighting for your people, or being sacrificed. So it was an honor and a favor because it's an honor you're giving your blood to the gods, and it's a favor because you don't have to do all that journey. Okay? Some people got stuck in the journey, so they couldn't make it all the way to the upper world and be reincarnated, so this was a favor. And yeah, some people were virgins, but because they were kids. A lot of kids were sacrificed, especially the firstborns. Again, it was an honor for your family and a favor to your parents. Okay? So, then The first building we have right here is the temple of the descending god. This guy looks like a guy diving head first to the ground with the legs in a 90-degree angle. It is engraved right on top of the door. You have to use your imagination a little bit, but there's the descending god. In this one we have the first solar marker. There's a solar marker that where there's a small opening in which the sun is going to rise in June 21st for the summer solstice. To see this solar marker, you have to stand right in front of the castle where there's the observatory platform. Okay? And the descending god is the god of the bees. And bees are very important for them because they produce honey. They didn't have the European bee, they have another kind of bee, the melipona. I don't know if you've seen it. Looks like a wasp,
yeah.
wasp, black one. They don't have any stings, they just bite. But these guys do produce honey in a much lower rate than the European bee, but they have honey. And it's very important for them because some people say they use it for the mixture they use for the stucco that covers the walls in which they make their frescoes or their murals, and also because they make a drink, a ceremonial drink out of this honey. Balche, have you heard that word? Or extaventun?
No. It's like a mead?
Excuse me?
Is it a mead? Like a mead type
It
drink?
could be something similar.
I see.
So balche is made out of fermented honey with some herbs. And this would be the last drink you take before being sacrificed, because it's a ceremonial drink that you take to enrich your blood for the gods. Now, extaventun is balche mixed with anise, that Spanish people brought. You can ask for it in your resort, I'm pretty sure they have it. It's just as a digestive. So you can get an idea of what balche was kind of like. So that is why the descending god is very important for them, because they provide the food for the gods. Okay? Then we have the castle. I didn't mention this, but this city was, or this place was chosen to build the city because it's protected by natural barriers. The city is on top of a cliff, and then in the ocean we have a reef barrier covering the city, so no boats or ships could come safe. The Mayans here found a small opening and they built the castle perfectly aligned so without the opening. The Mayans used to travel during the night, so if you were coming during the day, you would be able to find that opening once you are parallel to the castle. But if you come during the night, you cannot see the castle at all. So what the Mayans did is that behind the castle we have 4 windows, and the 2 in the middle are inside of a chamber. And in 1991 an explorer proved that they had lights in each one of the windows, so when you are traveling parallel to the coast, once you see the light from both windows at the same time, you know you have to turn around and come safely into the coast. He did it several times. If you turn around once when you only see one of the windows, you crash to the river. So this city was very well protected. At first, all they had to do was to build the wall, and after that, they had a lot of lower class people protecting the city from enemies coming. Okay? And then I told you they have 4 windows. The last one was just made for ornamental purposes, for symmetry, but the first one is the marker of the most important solar event of the year that happens twice. The solar equinoxes, March 21st and September 21st. March 21st would mark the start of the rain season, September 21st, the end, or the start of the harvest season. So this is how people right here track yearly events. Remember, the calendar repeats itself after 52 years, so you cannot use that one to track yearly events. It's easier to track the sun position because we know that the sun rises in the same spot in the same day every single year. Okay? People outside of these walls were just told that the gods told them that they were gonna send the rain. So they have to rely on these guys in order to get food. That's how you keep them under you. Because these guys are in good terms with the gods, these guys listen to the gods, and they've never heard the gods speak to them ever. Okay? Then the building we have right in front of the castle is the House of the Columns. In this building, every single decision was taken. It had to do with religion, with wars, with... That's unusual. Every single decision was taken over there with the ruling class and the rest of the elite class. Okay? And now, any idea when this city was built or when the Mayans were here?
1300?
1300, yes, they were here in 1300.
1200.
So the city was built between 1200 and 1450s. So this doesn't mean that the Mayans were here just during those years. They were here before, they were here after. The last ancient Mayans were captured in Tulum in 1628. So they were just captured, they didn't have any fighting right here. The Spanish people just came and picked the people up because they were very weak. The city was almost completely abandoned. the first contact with Spanish people and the cultures here or civilizations here in Mexico was here in the Yucatan Peninsula. But the Mayans didn't have the gold that the Spanish people were looking for, so they didn't care about the Mayans, and they went for the Aztecs. Only once they wanted to convert everyone to Catholicism and wanted more territory, they came back to conquer the Mayans. But when they came back, they already left the diseases behind, so when they came, everyone was very weak. Still, it took them more than 150 years to conquer the Mayans. Okay? Now, it was built between 1200 and 1450s, but they found a stela or a stone in which they engraved the dates from the year 564 before Christ. Now, I don't know if the archaeologists have any evidence of this, if there's strong evidence, or they just went the easy route and said that they brought it from somewhere else to be reused, or if we had Mayans way before what is believed we had them.
They're comfortable, man. Super
you
comfortable.
see that small palapa right there, right on the street? This is the first inscription, the oldest evidence of Mayan activity in this area. You won't see any inscriptions because they said that they were destroying it to reuse it for something else, and they were stopped halfway. But you can still see the stone right there, okay? And then the last building I'm going to tell you about, because it's the last building we have in Tulum, is this one right here. This is the house of the Chultun. A Chultun is a water tank in which the Mayans collect water from the rain in order to get water to drink. We have a lot of water under us in the cenotes, but remember some cenotes are sacred, so you cannot get the water from them. And those that are not sacred are usually have very hard access. Nowadays we have lights and stairs, so it's very easy to go to a cenote, but back then they only had a torch and no stairs. So it was a hard thing to do to go get water from them. And if you can collect water from the rain, it's better to do it that way. Okay? So guys, last ancient Mayans were captured in 1628, but the last Mayans living in Tulum, remember I told you this was a rebel camp? Mayans were here in 1928.
Yeah, but they don't sting.
And the idea was the ritual to the god of the water chuck. More water for the farmers, plants, and animals. I mean, it was so big. It is one of the best.
Oh, can you get this bottle? I wanted one for my hair. What? I just didn't want to pick it.
Perfect. Look at that. Look at this photo of us, by the way. Incredible. We'll do that in just a minute. I love my mama.
So if you're in the hood,
Sígueme, por favor. Let's go. You want to walk around here, or do you want to go this way? Okay, let's go.
These Mayans, do you have any idea what fight or what war the Mayans were fighting?
Spanish War?
After
Mexican-American War?
Excuse me?
Mexican-American War? No?
So the Mayans, remember you were talking about slavery?
Civil War.
Excuse
Oh,
me?
the Civil War. Okay.
They are kind of, could be kind of like a civil war.
Oh.
So we had a lot of Mayans right here. We still have a lot of Mayans. We have over 6 million Mayan speakers. But back then, after the Spanish people conquered Mexico and this territory, we have 4 different castes. We have the Spanish people at the top of the social and economical ladder. Then we have the mestizos, that are a mixture between Spanish people and indigenous people. And then we also have the castizos, that are a mixture between the mestizos and the indigenous people. So these 2 guys carried the worst. After Mexico got its independence in 1821, slavery was abolished. So there were no slaves or no official slaves in this territory. But the indigenous people carried the worst. They lived in plantations, or they worked for a plantation in which they live, and everything they buy, they have to buy it from this plantation. This place was called an hacienda. They get paid, so they are not slaves. There's no slavery, remember, but they get paid with a coin that can only be used in that same company. Every single month they are deeper in debt because this money that they're getting paid is not enough. So they are not slaves, but they cannot leave that place because they are in debt. And when they die, their son inherits that debt, and so on. So they basically were slaves. So these guys in 1847, they rose up. Remember, we had a lot of Mayans around, and they wanted to overthrow this social structure they had. They wanted everyone to be equal. So these two guys together finished the Spanish people as the mestizos. They called them Zulovs, or white people. In just 2 years, by 1849, half of the population of the white people was either gone or killed. So these guys were winning the war. The Mayans were winning the war, like big time. It is said that the British people were aiding them. There's no evidence of that, but well, the Mayans had weapons that where they're coming from, we probably will never know. And they started, the Yucatan Peninsula government started asking countries for help because they were losing the war against the Mayans. They asked the United States for help, they said no. They asked the French for help, they said no. They asked Mexico for help, and Mexico said yes, but you have to become part of me. And that's how Yucatan lost its independence and became part of Mexico. So Mexico, now with the added part of Yucatan, won this war in 54 years. So officially this war was ended in 1901 with the Mayans losing, but I mean they basically won because now there's equality for them. But they lost the war, they lost the territory. But some cities, including Tulum, were still occupied by the rebels up to the year 1928.